Hey everyone, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Live with RYE. I'm your host RYE, and I'm thrilled you are joining me. Before I begin, I just want to take a moment to thank you all again for your continued love and support throughout all of this. It means so much to me, and without it, I would not be able to do what I do. So thank you. But before we begin, I do have a favor to ask of you. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you never miss an episode of Live with RYE. And if you're watching on Facebook, hit that thumbs up and like my Facebook page, rydethenewsguy.com. You can also follow me across social media at rydethenewsguy. I love hearing from you, and let's continue this conversation. So follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at rydethenewsguy. And lastly, you'll see my website scrolling across the bottom of the screen, rydethenewsguy.com. Head over there to rewatch all episodes of Live with RYE and to see all of my other exclusive interviews, news, reviews, and so much more, including the launch of my new production company, RYE Entertainment. You'll also see my Venmo handle scrolling across the bottom of the screen as well. If you are so inclined, please feel free to support Live with RYE and rydethenewsguy.com. I appreciate it so very much. Thank you for all your continued love and support. And now, without further ado, help me welcome my very special guest, someone I just adore dearly, and I'm just so happy and thrilled that he wanted to come on, and I love him so dearly. So help me welcome my special guest, Dan Stone.
Hey, RYE.
Hey, Dan. Woo!
I am so proud of you. Oh my God. I am just beaming right now. So proud of all that you're doing, all your accomplishments, and we finally have our reunion. So
yes, we have our so nice. It's so great to see you. This has just made my day and my week.
I feel the same.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, I work when Broadway isn't on pause. I have the immense pleasure of working with Dan in Stone Productions, helping sort of run day-to-day things and assisting him in all things in Stone. And we are missing each other dearly because of this. And he has been a mentor, a friend, and everything in between. Partner in crime. But somebody who is so dedicated and so educated and has so much great things to say that I, wanted to bring him on to talk about so much about the theater industry and so much more. So let's get into it.
Can't wait. Let's do it.
Great. So how did you get started in co-producing?
So I was an actor, came to New York to pursue my dream. And I did it for probably around 15 years. Was working enough to be able to make somewhat of a living, but also waited tables, temped. I was definitely what you would describe like the struggling actor. Mm-hmm. And towards the end of my acting experience, I was working on cruise ships. And in between that, I was working as a temp at various places, one of which happened to be a law firm. Mm-hmm. And my last job on a cruise ship, I got a call from my temp agency asking me whether I'd be interested in helping out at a law firm. Cut to, I was going to take a 4-month gig. The 4-month gig turned into a 13+ year job, life career. During that time, I actually, I had to put away the acting chops. And I got involved with somebody, actually my business partner, Ken Fackler. And Ken and I, through various circumstances, had the opportunity to meet Chad Beglin. Chad Beglin, who right now is famous for The Prom, for having written the book and lyrics to The Prom, our beautiful gem.
Yes.
And we met up with Chad and his husband, Tom, and Chad introduced us to our mentor, Margot Lyon. May she rest in peace. So Margot was putting together her team for Catch Me If You Can. And I was familiar with the show. In fact, I had attended the chorus call for the workshop probably a year or 2 years before.
Wow.
Never got a call back though. Oh well, the morning. And she said, "Look, Chad loves you, and I'm sure I love you. I have this project. I think you guys would be great. Why don't you join our team?" And we were very excited because we both had such a passion for theater. But we were pretty honest. We said, "We're not producers." What? And she said, "Oh, that's just a name. What I want you to do is I want you to go to Barnes and Noble, and I want you to pick up these 2 books, and I want you to read them voraciously. And I'm going to give you all my contact information. And if you have any questions whatsoever, just reach out." So all of a sudden, this luminary, Margot Lyon, is giving us all of her contact information. It was just a bit surreal. And I'd always heard her name, but it was usually like when I was like looking at like backstage, for the audition for Hairspray or this, that, whatever. And there I was in a room with this woman, again, quite surreal. So we were good students and we read the books cover to cover. And we came to the chapter about backers auditions. And I was familiar with it because of having been in the theater world. And we thought, we could actually do this. Why don't we put together some kind of backers audition, but why don't we turn it into like a cocktail party? Why don't we do something a little more special, and that's exactly what we did. And we got all this amazing support from Margot, from Mark Shaman, from Scott Whitman, from all the people involved. And we put something together. We even had some of the performers be a part of it. Next thing I know, we raised all the money that we needed to, and we were on a plane to Seattle, sitting in the Fifth Avenue Theater in the rear mezzanine, watching rehearsal of Catch Me If You Can. Wow. And that's how it started. It's crazy. One get together, Ken met Chad and Tom at an event. We were just going to get together, just a little meet and greet, turned into something a little more than that. Then we meet Margot Lyon, and then all of a sudden we're walking into the Fifth Avenue Theater, and there's Jerry Mitchell, and there's Jack O'Brien, and there's Hal Luftig. And it's still just like, I still try to wrap my head how the hell this happened. So anyway, we got involved with that. And it was just a love affair. Just had the most incredible experience, and also had the opportunity to meet so many wonderful people who helped us along the way going forward. But it was a dream. It was an absolute dream. And then we were in it. Then we were going to readings. We were going to this. Then we were going to this. We were in that world. And yes, we may have had this entree, and we took full advantage of it. And then we created Fakston Productions, and the rest. Long-winded answer.
No, I love that. I love that. That's great. In fact, there's some stuff in there that I didn't know. So, I mean, that's really cool.
Yeah, we had a great story about Margot, actually. So the Tony Awards, the year of the Tony Awards for Dear Evan Hansen. Mm-hmm. I was sitting in my seat, and somebody tapped me on the shoulder from behind. It was Margot. And she looked at me, she gave me a big hug and big kiss, and she said, "The minute you walked in there, I knew you had it. I knew you had it." Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so special.
Yeah. It was incredible. It was an incredible entree into this world that, I had been looking at from, so many different purviews.
Yeah.
waiting in lines, signing up at 5 o'clock in the morning, for an audition, devouring every show, possible, going to see every show as much as I could during my struggling actor days, second acting every show I possibly could. Yeah, I mean, this, little boy from Malden, Massachusetts, all of a sudden was in this world, and this world that he dreamt of, the kid who would bring, the original cast recording of Annie to his fourth grade, class, and holding it, onto dear life. And yeah, it's pretty incredible. I
love it. Oh. especially now. Well, I only wish I had the chance to meet Margot. I mean, what a powerhouse and pioneer she was, and rest her soul, and may she rest in peace for sure. Oh, that's exciting.
That's an inspiration. I think of her so often. I mean, just what she did and how she, what an incredible example. What a visionary, what a historic visionary. And I'm part of that story. And that's something, first of all, I'm so grateful for. But also just so proud to be a part of, part of that community.
Yeah.
That's
great. Well, what has been the most challenging project you have taken on as a producer, and why?
Challenging as a producer or as a co-producer?
Co-producer.
Okay, as a co-producer, I'd have to say that it was heartbreaking about Tuck Everlasting.
Yeah.
Short-lived. Beautiful, beautiful show. Beautiful, beautiful show. Amazing people involved. Truly a family. Absolutely. And this is a great life lesson about previews. Folks, don't just go to the first preview, because by the time we froze the show, it was in really good shape. But my heart beats really, really fast when it comes to that show. That was tough. I mean, it was the year of Hamilton. I mean, there have been two seasons where we've dealt with monoliths and behemoths. With Catch Me, it was Book of Mormon. And with Tuck Everlasting, it was Hamilton. And, tough to take.
Of course.
But the revivals will be amazing, of course.
Of course.
But yeah, that was well, it changed a lot of things for me. The group involved, we were very much hands-on. It's an amazing production team, amazing group of people. The actors were great. It was, and I'm so grateful, Ryan, that I can articulate this, that I've worked with families. I mean, and I truly feel them, and you've seen it, and you've touched it. And it's also something I seek to find, because that element to me is so important. And to be able to be part of, that kind of familial environment, that's when the magic can happen, because you can trust each other, you love each other, and you can look around that room and you just feel that sense of commitment and devotion and love and trust and relation with each other. So for Tuck, during previews, actually probably until he closed, I probably went to almost every performance.
Wow.
It meant so much to me. And it was such a beautiful story, a story that I fell in love with when I was a kid. So it hit it. But also many, many life lessons, and many life lessons about, why a show, may not succeed at the time it was around, what factors were, involved with that. And, you take that as everything, a great education. But
Yes.
but yes, I still listen to the soundtrack. I still listen to the cast recording. Winnie Foster. I mean, just everyone involved, and we had the opportunity to just be so integrally involved with everybody. So that was, yeah. I think that's the best answer for that one.
I love that. And what was a lesson that you got out of that about yourself as a co-producer? Was there something that you learned going forward that you took from that?
Yeah. Look at the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what's going on in the season.
Yeah.
Don't let your. I like to, and I learned this at the law firm. In order to accurately assess something and thoroughly and comprehensively assess something, you need to have that perfect marriage of passionate and dispassionate. And if one side is out of balance, then you need to pay attention to that. And I think my emotions definitely outweighed at times, maybe the pragmatic and practicality of some of the situations.
Wow. That's so interesting. I love that. Now, what show has had the most profound impact on you that you've co-produced? And
okay, I'm going to cry right now. So
yeah,
I
know what you're going to say.
Well, shows that have changed my life. Beautiful and Dear Evan Hansen.
Yeah.
For me as a person, I think especially since it was the first show that I got involved with my own production company in the town, Prom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was yet again another familial relationship, familial dynamic, everyone involved. The message spoke to me and helped me to deal with some demons from my past, helped me to come to terms with some very, very painful parts of my life and my history. I mean, the first time I heard Unruly Heart, I don't think they could have peeled me off the floor. Because I was so overwhelmed with emotion, and it took me back to places that I didn't even realize where I'd gone. So many factors. The fact that, the message, we were able to share that message with so many kids in particular. I mean, we did so many talkbacks.
Yes.
And to have had the opportunity to speak directly with these kids who were struggling with that.
Yeah. It touched so many kids and just individuals itself, especially in the LGBT community. It was such a powerful show.
Well, my favorite thing that I did all the time, and this is yet again, kudos to the family, especially the lead producers who were so generous and so solicitous and gave us such entree into every aspect of the show. I would just like hang out, by, the stage door and just watch and talk to these kids and talk to these people. And they would share these amazing stories. I mean, I had one girl come out to me and told me after a talk back that, she was a lesbian, and I'm the first person that she was telling this to. I mean, how incredible is that? To be able to be part of somebody's story.
Oh my gosh.
Using your art. That's why we have to remember that it's not just entertainment, people. I mean, there's such a weight attached to this. And there's a power attached to it. And I take that so seriously. So, yeah. So Prom.
I love it.
Yeah. And of course, was the first in Stone one.
Yes.
I never expected to start my own company. In fact, that was another crazy whim that I did. It may not have, been Chad and Tom, but it was actually with my first assistant, Jordan, and we were watching a football game. And prior to my meeting him, I was working at the law firm, and a partner in my law firm asked me to meet up with his daughter, who had just graduated, I believe, from University of Michigan. And sure, happy to. And as she and I were talking, she said, I would love to be an intern and work with you. And I thought, okay, that sounds interesting. Sure, I'll think about it. And then I meet Jordan to watch the game and to have dinner. I said, so what do you think? Do you think maybe we should start a production company? And during that game, well, at least the first half, Patriots run. Huge Patriots fan, sort of. No, huge. You
are.
Yes, I am. We formed In-Stone Productions. Wow. October 17th. Was it 2016? Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
So crazy? Isn't that crazy?
4 years ago. So
yeah.
You just celebrated 4 years.
Yeah.
Days ago. Wow.
Yeah. It's amazing. So I'm, in terms of a big Broadway show, from God, I'm prattling along.
No, it's okay. I love it. Well, as we know, we're in a state and age right now where there's so much uncertainty and also so much change happening too. I mean, we've seen before our eyes the theater industry change in ways we never thought possible. What has to change about Broadway and the theater as a whole to make it more successful and thriving for everyone once it returns?
Well, first and foremost, we need federal funding.
Yes.
Period. We need federal funding.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe the last article I read, 14 million people in our industry are out of work. But I want to stress something. It's not a job. It's not just a job. Families have to be factored in. This is our passion. We don't do this perfunctorily.
Yes.
And people need to understand that and to understand the gravity of the situation. It's not bottom line. It's not just financial.
Exactly.
It affects every aspect of our lives. So first of all, federal funding. So we need everyone to go out and vote.
Yes.
And to tell everyone to vote.
Must.
So we can start.
And New Yorkers, remember, early voting starts tomorrow. So
tomorrow, exactly. Yeah. And do whatever you can. We only have 2 weeks. Donate. Yes, we're all stretched so thin, but whatever you can do those phone banks. Believe me, it is going to make a difference. Trust what I'm saying. So you have to vote. Have to vote. So we can get back on track. We can be a community again. We can be a United States of America again, where we are actually looking out for each other as people, as human beings, rather than red versus blue, because it doesn't work. And we've learned this. Secondly, unfortunately, social distancing does not work in theater. Economically,
yes.
Emotionally, you're not going to have that same experience.
Mm-hmm.
So what we need to do, back again, federal funding, a new administration, get the vaccine, make sure it's ready, tested, tried and true. Do not put anybody in a situation where they could potentially be in danger.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind it's life-threatening, it's counterproductive.
Yes, I agree.
It's counterproductive.
It is.
So we cannot do anything. If we can learn from other countries that decided to listen to the scientists and to act effectively and immediately, you're watching their theaters opening up. You're watching things change. You're watching a process that will work for us. But with so many log jams that we're dealing with right now, first and foremost, let's start from scratch. Vote. Get everyone out to vote.
That is so important, especially for our industry. Vote, get out there, vote.
Anything.
Yes.
Go out there. Do those
Yes.
phone banks. Do those texts. Believe me, it's all about voter turnout.
Yes, it is.
It
is.
And
if you're in New York, early voting starts tomorrow. Get out and vote. And if you're elsewhere, look where your early voting place is. If not, November 3rd is election day. If you haven't voted already by mail, or do it, get out and vote. This is one of the most important election of our lifetime.
It's essential.
It is.
There are all these hashtags like vote as if your life depends on it. Your life depends on it.
Yes.
There's no wiggle room here, Ryan.
No.
Seriously. This is what we need to do in order to get our country back, and also in order for us to get back to what we love and what everybody else, never mind the fact that over 220,000 people have died unnecessarily.
Yes.
Unnecessarily. So
there
you go.
Yes, and our industry is affected unnecessarily because of this.
Remember where we were.
Yeah.
Remember where we were that day.
Yes, I remember. Oh, I remember.
We had our last vestige of live theater. Where was it, Ryan?
It was at the Open Jar Studios for
Yes.
The new musical. Well, that was in the works. I can say it, right?
Remember what it's called, right?
I'm going to say it wrong. Cliquot.
Clicquot, about Verve.
Yes, about the yes.
It was wonderful.
Great. Yes. Cliquot. Yes. Mm-hmm.
But we both knew, and we even had that conversation in intermission. But
Yes,
we both knew that this was probably going to be the last time we were going to see live theater.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. They had a lot of bottles of champagne that day, didn't
we? Did. Yes. It was very impactful. So my next question is two parts. I'll start with the first part. You mentioned social distancing, which I agree with, but do you think and feel that there is a world where we can see theater, at least, and I'm referring mostly in the New York spectrum, returning at a 50% capacity for a short time and before being granted full capacity?
It has been, even like acting classes and, that, I believe that usually consists of 10 to 12 people.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be working.
Yes.
But I'm more concerned about the indoor spaces, the lack of ventilation. I mean, bottom line is, now I'm actually going to say this. We have to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
We just have to protect ourselves.
But even
in the meantime, we just have to be realistic.
Of course. But even with protecting ourselves, and I'm saying, 4, 5, 6 months from now, even as we get closer into spring and a vaccine is out, the precautions are taken, right? There's ventilation, we know, but unfortunately there's still no theater allowed, but the vaccine is out, the precautions are taken, and we're given an option where, arts venues can reopen at 50% capacity instead of full.
Oh, honey, the minute it's safe to go into a theater, it's similar to the minute it's safe, that's what I mean. Outdoor dining, and I'm fine with it. Indoor, I'm a little more hesitant. But if the scientists have signed off on this, if all processes have taken place, and it's proven to be successful, I will pull a Kamala right now. I'll be the first one in line. Yes, I will be the first one. So I do believe, but in terms of safety, no, I do not believe that we can do social distance until we have a vaccine.
Of course. And I think that is what really relies and depends on it. The second part of that also sort of goes, there seems to be, from what I've understood and sort of what I've seen in the industry of actors and what I'm seeing from other people, there seems to be a consensus among those leading the return of Broadway that there is just no way Broadway can function at 50% capacity. What are your thoughts, and how do we measure the risk? Now, this is talking in the sense that a vaccine is out. We're at 50%. A vaccine is out. We've been granted permission to go back at 50%. we'd have to wear masks still and social distance. But what are your thoughts, and how do we measure the risk being potentially that what they're concerned about, shows making less money than full? How does shows succeed?
Yeah.
And the reward being that people would at least allow to be returned to work, and we would get the arts thriving at least.
Yeah, well, I think you have to find a way to be creative.
Yeah.
But again, I think you have to be realistic and pragmatic about, the financial and the economic aspect of it.
Yeah.
Is the show going to be able to succeed at 50% capacity with their overhead?
No,
it's difficult. It's difficult. We may have, we may have to change the metrics and alter them. Maybe we might have to, forever alter them.
Yeah.
I think it does give us an opportunity to be able to rework the wheel. Yeah. And I think that's kind of exciting, actually. And on that subject, that's what I've been so blown away by and so impressed. We're in an industry that is just, dry and heartbreakingly dry and decimated. And yet people are rallying and finding a way to create art and fuel art and, to feed their creative souls. And people in the Broadway League are working tirelessly, and working with the government, or at least working with parts of the government in order, to affect, change. So it hardens me to believe, it hardens me to see this.
Yeah.
Because everybody is doing what they can. And if there's anything that I've learned about the theater world is how magical it can be. And I'm not being treacly about it, but it really is. It's just magical. I'm going to use like Seth Rudetsky's Stars in the House. He and his husband, James. I mean, what they've done, entertaining people, giving them more than, giving them an experience and something that we also sorely need. It's so difficult to articulate because I get so emotional about it. I was like, I look forward to his concert series. I watched Kayla Settle on Monday. And
yes,
there and I was removed from the reality for 2 hours. And I'm so grateful for that.
Yes.
And that's what we do. We find a way to make beauty.
Yes, we
out
do.
of the most cataclysmic and most heartbreaking of situations. So I have faith. I really do. I think we do not give our industry enough credit. And somebody said this to me recently. It's like, of course. What happens when you're in a rehearsal room?
Right.
What happens when somebody gives you a script? You're not just reading from the script. You're illuminating it. You're elevating it. And I was thinking about just my own life. And I always, even at my law firm, I was given a situation and I always tried to make it as engaging as possible because that's who I am. And that's what makes me, more and more excited and more passionate and more engaged about whatever endeavor in which I'm involved.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have faith.
I'm glad. Me too. Do you feel that though that the metrics can sort of be redone, remade, because there might be that possibility, I guess, even if we get into the late summer and fall and we have a vaccine and, everyone keeps saying, we're the last to return. And so what I worry and what I fear, and I think a lot of people fear is, and I know other industries are different than we are, but, so many industries are having to adjust and rethink their way of how they operate. Our metrics may have to change from sort of the ground up. Is that, you think in a way it's possible to change sort of how, the metrics work in a on a Broadway, sort of from the ground up or the top up?
I think there's definitely room.
Yeah.
There's room for modification.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to follow the bottom line with this one. And with the new administration, then we can start trusting scientists. We can start trusting the CDC. We can start trusting the experts. So I want to follow that.
Yes.
And I think anything else, it would just be my own personal take on it.
Right.
And I don't think that is, I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually be irresponsible for me to offer anything other than, what the reality of the situation is.
Of course. Yeah. And that's one of the things today. Nobody's an expert. Everyone thinks they're an expert. Unless you are an expert yourself in one of the medical experts. Nobody is an expert, unfortunately.
Yeah. It'll be lovely, when the day comes when you listen to somebody on that television screen tell you, and you can trust them.
Yes.
What they're saying without an agenda, without a puppet behind them, without a special interest group influencing them.
Yep.
What a wonderful day that will be. And
when it is safe, I'll tell you this, I'll be first in line to whatever show reopens, whether it's, whether they do it sporadically or once, I will be, as I say, I'll be there with bells on for sure.
You and me both, my friend.
I want nothing more. I yearn for nothing more than to just that experience, to just sit in. I've often thought what my, the emotion that will overcome, and you sit and you hear the downbeat of the orchestra playing, to just sit there and listen to that you haven't heard in 14 months or 15 months. I cannot wait. Yep. But folks, seriously, tune in to any kind of access that people are offering. I mean, these performers, they're so brilliant. They're so talented, and they're offering, their talents. Just go there. Just go there. Support them. Believe me, you're going to just feel better. You're also going to be doing service. Mm-hmm. That makes people feel so, I know for me personally, when I do service, it helps, first of all, remove me from what's going on in my world. Yeah. And to be able to look and to appreciate the world around me, but also to be able to give back. And to me, that is so important right now. So look, just ask yourself, who was your favorite Broadway performer, before or whatever, and just tune in. They have it happening all the time. Oh my God. On Sunday night. I know LaShawne's. Oh, I cannot wait. Oh. LaShawne's from A Christmas Carol. I mean, come on. Oh, cannot wait. There's so many of these outlets. And to me, that's been my lifesaver. I mean, I've had many lifesavers, but that in particular, I very much look forward to that. It's special. We are a bunch of unicorns. Yes, we are a bunch of unicorns, and we can do anything. Just give it to us, and we will do it. I mean, we're also ones who are willing to take accountability and ownership with everything that's going on. Mm-hmm. Really able, to look at, the reality of a situation. I'm so proud of our industry. I mean, I have my moments, believe me. I will have a crying Jag probably later on tonight. This is very emotional right now. You should be here. No, you should. I know. You should be here. We should be getting ready for a show for tonight. Right? Yes. Well, and you say that, it's funny because that pivots me to my next question. Right before the shutdown happened, we were preparing, and you were preparing in the coming months before we knew that all this was happening, to look for something to lead produce. You were looking forward to your next project to lead produce. We were getting close. So, what are the stories that you want to tell as a lead producer, and what kind of work do you, when you find it, what kind of work do you want to produce and create? Well, you could answer this one for me, I'm sure. I could, yeah. I could, but that's why I'm asking you. I know it, but my audience doesn't. Well, I bring my skill set, and it usually starts off with my actor skill set. And my actor skill set is, is this a good product? Is this, what do I call it? Cooked. Yes, is it cooked? Is it cooked? So
I look at the product, I see exactly like where it's at. Then the next step is, what's the message? I want to pay it forward. I want to use my resources. I want to use my skill set to tell important stories, necessary stories, brilliant stories. I want to be able to offer stories, offer to share and tell stories, people who have not ever had the chance to tell their stories. I also want to be able to bring my own stories.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So there's this connection that transcends entertainment, where I know, like with every show in which I've been involved,
yeah.
I ask myself, okay, what about that kid who is watching that like little YouTube clip? They can't come to Broadway. The tour's not going to be coming for a few years. And what kind of story am I telling that's going to be able to help this person? And when I think about that, I think about, okay, what about me?
Yeah.
What stories were told when I was younger that helped me become a little less uncomfortable, a little less insecure, a little less than. So of course I want to pay it forward. I want to feel like I am, again, transcending what is just the ostensible form of entertainment.
Yeah, and that's all you can do, and that's what makes it so special, and makes the projects that you do so special. And I think that's the truth, and it's rubbed off on me because that's exactly how I approach things and want to approach projects in the future when I start to get into them. It truly, it's a.
You have to also ask yourself, because it's such an intense investment,
Mm-hmm.
that you have to ask yourself, can I be in the seat, every single night? Do I want to be in the seat? Yeah. Why do I want to be in this seat? What is this doing for me? I've always been the kind of person, and maybe it's to my detriment, but I don't believe so, where I choose shows that feed this. I choose shows that feed this. Oh, this is going to be such a big hit because of blah, 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 blah. Great, wonderful. Does it hit my heart? Does it hit my heart? If it doesn't, then I'm going to be perfunctorily, participating in this. And as we've learned, this is an industry that is anathema to perfunctory situations and experiences.
It is. It really is. As we finish up,
heartbeat, and I'm as happy as can be.
Oh, I know, and I love it. As we finish up, I'd love to get your take. How do we move forward as a theater in this digital landscape? Do you think that virtual could play a big part in the theater going forward, as we get into this future and as we even see the return of theater? Do you think, there is a world where virtual may play a part as well as live performance too? We've seen sort of the thirst and demand for it. I mean, Hamilton and how sort of,
Diana. Other opportunities coming up. It's, the Prom, the film.
Yeah.
Wicked, In the Heights, West Side Story. There's so many. There's like this resurgence, this renaissance of the movie musical. It's really exciting. In terms of what's going on right now, I guess the only example I can use is my acting class that I used to attend in person. Mm-hmm. And then when COVID hit, I since then have been taking Zoom classes. Matthew Corazine Studios. He's amazing. One of the most incredible teachers you'll ever have in your life. Love you, Matt. And my tribe there. But it took a while to get used to, this virtual Zoom kind of like dynamic, but we've made it work. And I think a lot of people have made it work. The reading we went to last week, we attended last week. I didn't really see many constraints except for, wanting to be in a theater and wanting to like see that stage. But
Yes.
other than that, I was very much engaged, weren't you?
Oh, yes, I was. I
Yeah.
was. And I'll be honest with you, I think that this is also a renaissance too, because I do think we are going to see works as theater reemerges, as we start getting eventually back on stage. I think we're going to see works that we've never seen before. I think the storytelling that's coming out of this time, both about what's going on in this pandemic, but also just people digging, having the time to really dig deep and,
Truth telling.
and
People are telling the truth right now, Ryan.
yes.
And that's what great storytelling is all about. It's like the veils are gone.
Yeah.
The curtains are up. We don't have anything to lose.
No.
So you're getting these raw, honest, intense stories. And that's what we need, because that's what art's all about. Being able to like tell these important stories and to share them.
Yes. And I can't wait
with them. Yeah. I mean, that to me is there are these, I call them the perverse silver linings of this pandemic. And this happens to be one of them, that, finally our eyes are open, our eyes in terms of the theater industry.
Yeah.
I mean, I will be the first one to admit that I, in my little bubble, thought I was in this, very colorblind world. I've had to educate myself. I've had to put in the energy, effort, and time that is so deserving and so necessary to do this, to do the kind of work, and to have a better understanding in order for us to move forward, not only as a community, but as a state, as a nation, as citizens. I went back to school. I went back to school because I wanted to get into good trouble.
Yes.
I wanted to a difference, because that's what we need to do. And we all have that gift, Ryan. We all have that gift to be able to like look at ourselves and our unique skill sets, our respective skill sets, and ask ourselves, what can we do to better ourselves, but more importantly, to better this country, to better our community, to better our families, to better our state, to better our citizenship. And it takes work.
Yes.
It takes time. It takes energy. It takes commitment. But let me tell you, it feels so purposeful. It feels so purposeful to know that you're doing whatever you can to try to like bring this country back, because we need it, Ryan. I'm going back to the voting, but it's the most important subject right now. We would not be in this position. I mean, granted, I would love to be on this with you, and this is like my first time being on one of these, so it was exciting. But let me tell you, I know I would yearn to have you next to me rather than through this.
No.
And there's only way we could do that, and it's by turning this country around.
Yes. Yes, it is. It really is. As we finish up, what advice do you have for future producers, future storytellers, people who want to create art, both now and in the future?
If that's your passion, reach out. There's a community here waiting for you.
Yes.
It is the most generous community. People are there for each other to help in whatever way we can, in whatever way. So do not feel limited for whatever reason. If you have a desire, I learned this years ago. I never trusted my passion. And I had a very circuitous route in terms of my life and the choices I've made, especially in terms of my career. I knew I loved performing. I knew I loved musical theater from the time I was 5 years old, Ryan. 5 years old. And I was good too. But
You're incredible.
Thank you. But I let external influences get the better of me instead of saying, no, I love this. This is what I want to do. And nobody is going to like hold me back. It's a very defying gravity thing, but it really is. So if you have that desire, pursue it. Don't be afraid that, oh, you're not going to be able to, you're going to have to be living off of ketchup soup for the rest of your life, or da 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 da. I'll tell you the truth. As a struggling performer who lived off of ramen noodles for more years than I can care to admit, but it's the truth, I never felt like I was sacrificing anything. I was around my people. I was feeding my passion. That was my world. That was my world. So don't question anything if you have a passion for something. Just pursue it. And what I've learned is you will find a community. And there's a community here waiting with open arms to help you in whatever way can. I mean, how did we meet?
Through
Josh.
through Josh.
Right. One get together at Blockheads, right?
Yes.
We stay in touch. Then I'm looking for a new assistant. Where were we?
And I will never forget it because I walk by it most Wednesdays on my way to the chiropractor. We were at New York City Center, Avita at New York City Center. And I say this, and I mean this in the best way, I will never be able to look at New York City Center the same because that is the place where my life changed. Avita there was the place where my life changed. I mean, it is incredible. Yeah.
We had the conversation, at intermission?
Yeah.
I go back and sit in my seat and you accepted the offer.
I did. Well, and it's so full circle because, we had met that April and we kept it and we had such a powerful conversation. We kept
right. You reached out to me. You were asking for my advice on various things.
And we had kept in touch and it, on and off, even throughout that. And, I had gone through some jobs at the time and you were helpful with, keeping me sane and everything. And then it was, at the time, and it's, and I love to say this, it's true. The Lord works mysterious ways. And it was just at the time I was in between work and I would have never thought in a million years that, not that I was starting to give up on myself, but it was getting to a point where I'm like, what's going to happen? And I was like, I'm excited to see you at intermission. Can't wait. And then, you were like, I'm looking for a full-time, assistant. You're the top of my list. You're the only one I can think of. And I told you, and I said, and I could not I mean, I've seen Avita many times, but I couldn't focus on the second act because I was just, it was, so full circle. And that night changed my life. And that, and I walk by there every day and when I go on Wednesdays and I look at it and I say, one day we will return to this beautiful building, but also just the specialty of that building for me.
Yeah. Exactly. So there's room. There's room for everyone.
Yes.
Especially producers, especially people of color. Seriously, there is so much opportunity. And again,
there is
so much support. There's so much support. And we've seen it. We've seen it all the time. If somebody reaches out to me and I reach out to them or, here, I would like for you to meet this person for whatever reason, of course, happy to. And mind you, I mean, this has happened since it's the Margot Lion. It's all full circle. All of a sudden, one little meeting changed my entire life. And by the way, Ryan, I wasn't even going to go because I was so skeptical being the bitter, jaded former actor, and I remember actually saying to Ken, said, why don't you go? If it's anything, what was I thinking? But I was so completely incredulous. I mean, I just could not believe that something like this could actually happen. I wouldn't even allow myself to go into that. So with that story, people, allow yourself, go there, reach for anything. And also just right now with everything going on, just take care of yourself and do whatever you can to find joy in your life. And there's so much joy in our industry. And it's inspirational, it's aspirational, it's beautiful, it's life-saving. It really is. I cannot stress how much I owe during this time to our industry.
Yeah, same. And you realize how much you take it for granted too. I look back even and just say, wow, just to sit here and be like, it was second nature for the longest time to be like, oh, I'm going to go see a show. Oh, let's do it. And to be like, it was so second nature to be like, well, we got this coming up. And now to, be here and just say, wow. And,
I mean, I'd come home, I'd come back from class.
City. Yeah.
And you'd be sitting here, the chair, which
yes.
is so comfortable.
Is I know. It is.
And, you tell me what you'd be doing that night. I tell you what I'd be doing that night. And
yes.
that was our life. That was our life.
Yes.
And it will come back.
It will. It will.
Back. But in the meantime, we need to remember like the reality of the situation, be mindful of it, and also how we can handle it ourselves.
Yes.
How to find a way to manage it. Because we can't rush anything. We know what the situation is, but we're an incredibly resilient group of people. Yes. And I'm so proud to be part of this community. And I love you so much. And you have changed my life forever. And I could not be more grateful just for everything that you've done, everything that you brought me in, just watching you. See, you're using your skill set, Ryan. You are using your skill set.
Thank you. Yes,
get that lemonade.
Yes.
Get the lemons out and make the lemonade.
Well, and right back at you 110%. I mean, my life has changed for the better because of you and everything that you've done for me. And aside from 2020 being shitty, but what a great sort of end of 2019 and beginning of 2020 it was. I mean, just to know how much you've changed me for the better as a person, both personally, professionally. I'm forever grateful. And how did I get so lucky? And I treasure it, and keep it close to my heart, because that is rare. And there are not a lot of people who have that. I say this all the time. I never felt like I was going to work. And, even with exploring on my own now and doing a lot of my own and, starting production company, I don't feel like I'm doing what I love. And that's powerful. That's, to not feel like when you do what you love, you feel like you never work a day in your life, as the saying goes,
Yeah. I know.
Love it. Well, to keep up with Dan Stone and learn more about InStone Productions, visit www.instoneproductionsnyc.com. And you can follow InStone on Twitter at InStoneProds, PRODS. And InStone is also on Facebook and Instagram at InStone Productions. So give us a follow and keep up with all that Dan Stone and InStone Productions are doing. And boy, can I not wait for the roaring back of theater.
I know, Ryan. So which show of ours?
Thank you for doing this.
Ryan, what's the show that you want to go see first that we're involved in?
Oh, Moulin Rouge. Moulin Rouge. And unfortunately, and I wish it was still, but if it was still running, I think it would be between Moulin Rouge and The Inheritance. But obviously, unfortunately, The Inheritance host. But Moulin Rouge for me right now is, that is sort of, because as I've said, I wasn't able to see it when it was, running, and everyone's shocked. I'm like, well, tickets were, the price that I rent. But that I think in my head right now is like, I will be first in line to see that. And, that is, on my list at the very, very, very top. And
I will put the order in the minute we're able to get back into that theater. Right?
I cannot wait. It's just, it's exciting to think about. And then, all the other shows as well. So, and that's also given me something to think about. What show do you want to return to? What show do you want to be the first show that you say I saw when theater returned?
Yeah. But special. It is special. And so are you, Ryan.
Well, wonderful. I'm going to log off. So just give me 1 second. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Bye, everyone.